Good evening and welcome to the Bay St. Louis Planning and Zoning Meeting of January 10th, 2024. Please, everybody, silence your cell phones and electronics at this time. We're going to begin with a short prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Father in heaven, we invite you to preside over this meeting. Give us unity of spirit, even when our opinions differ. Help us to listen politely to other points of view and to remember that we are all a part of the same community. Direct our thoughts, words, decisions, and actions toward the right path in the best interest of our city. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First application tonight is Bordelon. Application for variance to the zoning ordinance submitted by Craig Bordelon. The applicant is requesting to construct a dwelling and is requesting a variance of 11 feet to the rear yard setback, resulting in a 9-foot setback to the rear yard. The property is located at 408 St. George Street, parcel 149E-0-29-127.000, part 420, First Ward, Bay St. Louis. The property is zoned R2, two-family district. Is the applicant here tonight? Craig?
I don't see him, but, Craig Bordelon's not here.
Well,
You'll want to.
let's make a motion to table it. To,
If we have to table it,
oh,
you can table it towards the end, but let's not table it because we need actions to send it to city council. So even if it's a denial, but, long and short of it is the dimension of, oh.
yeah, I know he's coming. He said he's coming. Okay.
But needless to say, I'll just give you all the quick fact. The lot that's a pre-existing lot of records, just shy of 4,000, it's not 4,000 square feet, so it's a really small lot. And he's wishing to construct a building on it, or a house.
Hey, Mr. Bordelon, if you could just state your name and address for us and tell us just anything you want to add about the application.
Craig Bordelon, 144 St. Charles in Bay St. Louis, where my home is. Now I'm building a 1,120 square foot house on the lot, which most of the lots on that street are almost the same size, so it's hard to build a home somebody live in under that size.
Did any of the commissioners have any comments or questions?
Oh, and just for the record, it's only for the rear yard because the front's 15 feet, but we do
That's
the average.
the average
We
of
do the
the house.
average, so that's why there's not required one in the front.
Okay. Was there anybody signed up to speak for or against? No. Okay. Well, if there's no one to speak, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Osborne, second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Please be present at the next city council meeting Tuesday, January 16th at 5:30 PM.
Thank y'all.
The next application is Smith, application for variance to the setback requirement of the zoning ordinance submitted by Ann Smith. The applicant is requesting to add an addition to the current dwelling. The applicant is requesting a variance of 1 foot 9 inches, resulting in a 6 foot 3 inch setback to the right side yard. A variance of 12 foot 11 inches, resulting in a 7 foot 1 inch setback to the rear yard. Also, the proposed addition will need a variance of 2.2%, resulting in a 47.2% to the lot coverage. The property is located at 102 Carroll Avenue, parcel 149F-0-29-154.000 to be Carroll subdivision. The property is zoned R1 single family district. I will be recusing myself for this application. I'll turn it over to Mr. Breland if you want to run this one.
I have no choice, I guess.
Yeah, no, you don't.
All right. You want to speak on it, please?
Yes, I'm Ann Smith, property obvious 102 Carroll Avenue. Basically what I'm going to do is, I actually had gotten approval, the same zoning, everything back in May, 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
The reason why nothing has happened is because I was trying to find somebody to build it for me. So now apparently it has expired. So now I'm just resubmitting the same zoning, I mean, nothing has changed from the first approval. So now that I have a contractor here, that is going to be able to assist me in,
Yep, this is the same one you had presented to us back before.
correct,
remember?
it's same, nothing has changed.
Okay. Does any of the commissioners have a question? Anybody? Is there anybody here to speak against it? You for it, Ms. Cliff?
Cliff Bradley, I'm speaking as chairman of the Historical Preservation Commission. This came before us, I thought it had come before here previously, and, I'm here to say that we went round and round with them about some things, but what they're wanting to do is enlarge a house on an existing footprint that actually, if you go back, what they're going to is about what they had before, some time back. So, we did approve it at Historic Preservation, and we do support what they had asked to do.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cliff.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody want to speak? All right, I'm gonna. I move that we approve it. Okay, have a second? All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Abstain.
Aye.
Motion be sure that's next Tuesday.
January 16th.
Chad. I should have said, I'm sorry. I wasn't used to that. She always does the talking. Motion passes. Make sure, Tuesday, what time? 5:30 on January 16th in this same building right here.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back.
Turn it back over to you.
Yeah, unrecusing myself. Okay, our next application is Grand Homes LLC. Application for side yard setback variance to the zoning ordinance submitted by Grand Homes LLC. The applicants intend to construct a single-family dwelling on the property. The applicant is requesting a variance of 3 feet resulting in 5-foot setback to the side yards. The property is located at 2224 Mole Drive, parcel 136N-2-42-02-092.001, Part JB, Lardassi Claim 42-8-14, 50 foot by 133 feet. The property is zoned R1 Single Family District. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Hi, John Plew, 417 Marina Oaks Drive, Mandeville, Louisiana. I'm trying to build my own summer home here, and with the 8-foot side yard, I could only build a 32-foot wide house, and tried to draw a plan. It didn't come out very well, so I'm asking for the side yard to be reduced to 5 feet, so I could build a 40-foot wide. And this lot's been in my family for like 70 years.
Were there any comments or questions from the commissioners?
Yes, I have a question or two. I see you're located on the water,
Correct.
and 5 foot on each side of the house isn't gonna allow for any construction equipment to get into your rear yard, should you have bulkhead problems or something. I think you need to consider moving the house a little over in one direction, or at least allow for 6 feet, 6.5 feet on one side.
Well, the house is going to be 19 feet up in the air, so any construction we're gonna do is gonna go underneath the house.
Okay.
I mean, that's a new code, you gotta be 19 feet, correct?
You're in the A19 zone?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, any bulkhead work will be done from the water anyway.
Any other comments or questions from the commissioners? I have a couple letters received. We are writing to express my strong opposition to the proposed variance for a 5-foot side yard setback at 2224 Mole Drive. As neighbors of this property, we are deeply concerned about the impact this variance would have on the property and the character of the quickly developing Mole Drive. While we would love to have a neighbor, the dwelling next door should be at least 8 feet from the property line. A 5-foot side yard setback would be far too close. In conclusion, we both strongly urge you to deny the proposed variance for a 5-foot side yard setback at 2224 Mole Drive. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Barbara Ann Locklear, 2226 Mole Drive, and Robert Soa, 2222 Mole Drive.
I measured both of those houses today. The house on the right is approximately 20 feet from the property line, and the one on the left is, I think, she's about 40 feet from the property line. So it's not like the house is gonna be jammed up right against the house.
Are they 8 foot from the side yard?
They're They're
One's
further.
20 feet from the
They're
side.
further.
And the
Yeah,
other
one's
the other
20,
one's
one's
40.
One's on the end too, canal.
I had another letter. Hold on. I think this is for several,
People.
yeah, several of the
Is that,
applicants, A, B,
think this
C,
is-
and D. This is Coney's,
If you
yeah.
wanna read that one, it's
I'll
actually-
go ahead and read this one and just know that it applies for the variance requests on, agenda item A, B, C, and D. Tom and I would like to go on record with our objections to the variance request, A, B, C, and D. We feel that they are far too overreaching. We don't know folks that live in the area, but we're all a part of the community in the city, and we must encourage others to follow the city ordinances in the absence of hardship. One request is a 5-foot variance on all sides of the house. The same request our neighbors were denied for the lot next to us on Cary Court. It's such a fire hazard for all the houses in the area. Another request is for over 10,000 feet worth of variance. Totally crazy in our opinion. Why devalue all the houses in the neighborhood? I plan to speak at the meeting tomorrow regarding the condo project with no parking, or I'd have included my thoughts on that here. Both of us are totally against. In short, if a citizen can't build what they want on the property they purchase, they have two choices. 1, alter the build to fit the lot. 2, purchase a lot more suitable to their project. We are tired of citizens trying to inconvenience others to get what they want while abusing the system by asking for ridiculous variance requests. As a community, we must support one another and protect our town. We're not against development. We're simply against unsuitable development. Thank you, Tom and Connie Voigt, 253 Cary Court, BSL.
Well, I can't agree with that comment about being a fire hazard, because as I said,
It's
one house is 20 feet, the other one's 40. As a matter of fact, my father brought bulldozers and equipment 75 years ago and cut those roads in that whole section. There was nothing there. When we built those first couple of houses, you could turn a light on at nighttime. You wouldn't see a light anywhere. It was just total dark. So at one time, like I said, we've been doing this for 70 years. And both of those people that just wrote the opposition letters, that was all my property at one time too.
Yeah, and I personally, I get it, because it's hard to design, difficult to design on a 50-foot lot. You will need a variance, more than likely, of some kind. I just, in my personal opinion, would wish it wasn't so severe.
And
So-
as I
and
said,
maybe
all of
there's
these
a-
lots were mine,
Right.
and I gave them to my mother, and she gave it to my sister, and my sister got her a big old lot out of it and left me with a little lot. So that's where I am.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny how that works.
She likes
huh?
her sister.
Yes. I wonder which one was her favorite.
And, you know, my whole family's from Bay St. Louis.
Yes,
So.
I understand, and I get the hardship with it, and it's a skinny lot, but I'd personally feel better if it's just a tad bit narrower, like even if you went down to 36, and I think your neighbors would be happier with that as well.
36, that's giving me how much, Barry?
So
That'd
you'd still, you'd have, we're at 40 right now.
Would you
So
consider,
at least
would you
get-
consider 7 feet each side?
I mean, I can't, it would have to come through the variance process again, but I'd advise, if it doesn't pass tonight, to work with your neighbors on something that would be suitable for them. You will need a variance of some kind to get a comfortable house.
Right.
You will on a 50-foot lot, but
Ju-
maybe just not.
Just for a point, and I'm not saying do it, but I'm just saying the ask was before a 3-foot variance, meaning 5-foot side yard setback. This board could recommend something that they're wanting they want 3 feet. They can have something smaller, but if y'all choose to vote it, whatever else, vote it yes or no, that's one thing. City council still has the option. They couldn't make it a more egregious variance, but they could make it a smaller variance without denying the whole thing.
So we can, without having to go back through the
Yeah, if
the
you-
variance process?
Yeah, because if the rationale is if somebody was against 5-foot side yard setback,
Uh-huh.
they would be against a 3-foot side yard setback also.
Uh-huh.
But if they're against a 5-foot, they might not be against a
Right.
7. But it was denoted that you're against 5.
If you
Right.
could,
So
if you
the
could,
next door neighbors are against 5. They're obviously against everything as it was read in, but it was advertised.
if you could approve 6-foot side yard, I could work with that.
I'd be more amenable to that. I know I'm not the final decision maker, but if everybody was on board with that motion,
The motion would have to be made to say the 6-foot yard setback.
and
Correct.
I think the neighbors would be happier with that as well. If there's no one else, I don't think anyone's signed up to speak, and no other comments or questions from the commissioners, I'd entertain a motion.
then if y'all do change it, can you denote, right now it's a side yard setback on both sides, so I think, yeah, you're the one who said the issue with one side, the other. Just make sure it's
Yeah.
clear.
We can approve the motion based on your agreeing that you'll do a 6-foot setback
Yeah, I said,
on each side of the house.
I'd like to have 7 is what I'd like to have. I know I said 6, I got mixed up on my numbers here.
You did good.
So you're asking for a 1-foot variance?
Yes.
A 1 foot
zone.
variance
I
on,
mean,
On each
12
side.
inches.
2 feet, 1 on each side. Okay,
Is that gonna make your neighbors happy?
one, like I said, I don't understand why they object anyway. You got 20 feet on the house on the
And
right and
40 on
40
the
feet on the left. How's that hurting them?
so the motion on the
It's up to
table
y'all.
is a motion to allow a 1 foot variance,
I'll change it to the 1-foot variance for each side yard.
resulting in a 7 foot side yard setback.
Correct.
A second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Weber, second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes
That was nay.
5-1. Please be present next city council meeting. They'll have the final say Tuesday, January 16th at 5:30 PM.
January 16th.
Thank you.
Can I get copies of those letters that you read?
Yeah,
No? Okay.
yeah, then you'll have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next application is Williams, application for sketch plat review approval and a lot size variance to the zoning ordinance submitted by Tyrone Williams. The applicant is requesting to subdivide 1 parcel into 4 parcels of land. All parcels will meet the lot width requirement, but each of the 4 newly created parcels will require a variance of 1,159 square feet, resulting in 10,841 square feet to the lot area for each newly created lot. The property is located at 550 Sycamore Street, parcel 137J-0-44-123.000, 32L, rear 3rd Ward, Bay St. Louis. The property is zoned R1, single family district. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Sit.
I don't think we had anybody signed up to.
The only thing that has is that letter you already wrote that touched on, nobody signed up, but this is the
Right.
approval of the sketch plat. As y'all remember, it's sketch plat, then we go to the documents and do the internal one, and then they'd have to come back and file for final plat. But this is for the initial, let me go turn around. This is for the sketch plat approval. Part of the sketch plat approval is they do need variances for lot sizes on all of them. And if you go read my letter, on the even side of Sycamore Street, they're just shallow lots. There's none, I think 105 feet's the deepest any lot is on the entire
Right.
street.
On the whole.
Yeah, and I appreciate that it meets the minimum frontage requirement too.
Thank you.
And make it, yeah, easier, so for future setbacks. If there's no other comments or questions from the commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion we accept.
Motion by Mr. Breland, second by Mr. Osborne. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Motion passes. Please be present next city council meeting Tuesday, January 16th, 5:30 PM.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next agenda item is the Murphy Land Holdings, application for a variance to the parking requirements of the zoning ordinance submitted by Murphy Land Holdings. The applicant intends to construct a 16-unit condominium. The applicant is requesting a variance to the parking requirements. The zoning ordinance required a minimum of 36 parking spaces to accommodate the applicant's request. Applicant seeks a variance to allow for no required on-premise parking, therefore asking for a variance of 36 spaces. The property is located on South Beach Boulevard, parcel 149L-0-29-038.000, part 2nd Ward, Bay St. Louis, parcel 149L-0-29-038.001, 1 and part 2, 2nd Ward, Bay St. Louis. The property zone, C1 Central Business District. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Can you state your name and address for our,
Ray Murphy, 407 Hancock Street.
can you tell us a little bit more about the application?
Well, you pretty much covered it. We're looking to do an 8-story, 16 unit condo with 0 parking. First off, just let me say I appreciate we can get everybody out to come out tonight, and we seem to be pretty good at motivating the community. Secondly, I think the city needs to put in for a variance for off-site parking for this venue that we park down the streets. So anyway, we trying to do valet parking for the condo. I mean, we're trying to do favor to the city, but there's gonna be no congestion down there, but not parking. Everybody parking issues up there right now. We have a city parking garage that nobody parks in. I've approached the mayor, asked him if y'all could lease us 32 spots there. But we have options, but our main option is gonna be valet parking. Unit there. Take you, bring you in, we'll park the car up. Plus, buy golf cart.
And the valet would run 24 hours a day, 7 days a
Run it.
week.
As long as somebody's there, then he,
So is it more short-term rental, or is it,
well, whoever
buy
buys the condos,
condominium.
chances of all those people being in that condo, in that building at one time, slim as nothing. You know that they're gonna VRBO the condo. So, that's what Bay St. Louis seems to be all about right now. We got a lot of vacation rentals, we got condos coming up all over the place. We see that's the best use for our property. 16 units doesn't seem to be.
and the reason why parking wouldn't be underneath the structure?
There's no way we can get it, but it has to go 20-story high to get that spot.
So
Put
not even
on-site
park.
park, so it don't even make sense to do it. That's why we want a valet park, off-site. And like I said, provide golf carts. Most of the residents probably have their own golf cart anyway.
Okay, are there any comments or questions from the commissioners before I read letters? And, well, we have, of course, several signed up to speak.
I have a question. Mr. Murphy, can you tell me how tall this structure will be?
Well, eight stories gonna roughly be about 80, 90 feet, maybe max, depending on, what kind of construction, air conditioning, so,
This-
we put on the roof.
The city ordinance for C1 beachfront is only 50 feet.
It's 50 feet according to the ordinance, but it also states that a letter from the fire chief is required. And the fire chief's already stated to me numerous times, and including the mayor in a conference call, that there's no fire height issue. So that
Yeah, but I-
Casino Magic is 15 stories.
But I don't think the fire chief can waive the height requirement. It's up to
Well,
the city.
Well, it's in the, it says you need a letter from the fire chief, and if the fire department can handle 150 feet, there's no reason why. I mean, they can handle Casino Magic, it's 15 stories.
So, I guess what's being discussed now is the height, though it might be an issue eventually. What's just on the agenda, and only thing on the application now is the variance of 36
Well, the
parking
space.
spots resulting in 0 on-site. So, I know there's been lots of discussion, I know I've gotten tons of phone calls about the height of it. 50 feet above would be, he would need a variance, but we're not talking about that tonight.
Okay.
And then even one thing that's in y'all's packet, which, you know, we've got a call from Mississippi Power that we don't know if the lot piece of property is not under contract nor sold yet to any developer. But we're not even talking about where the location, it's a valid question, but where the cars are parked, I guess it's kind of still a moot point. The only thing that needs to be discussed tonight is
Parking.
The off-site parking.
On-site parking, not perpetually where it's gonna be, but on-site parking. So I know they had many letters touched on the height. That's not what we're talking about, and many letters talked about the parking is gonna be on Case on State Street. Once again, though, Bay St. Louis was notified that might not be an option, but that's not actually what we're talking about tonight. All we're talking about is how many parking spots commissioners think can be waived to allow a 16-unit condo. What the condos look like doesn't matter. That's gonna be down the road next step.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and read some of these letters now, just so everybody knows, all the notifications, letters, phone calls, everything's been entered into the minutes. I'm not gonna read all 86 emails, but, I mean, but just, I've read through, but we have all read through all of them. I took the ones that I feel like are the most all-encompassing. We're gonna try to let everybody speak. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. We're gonna be respectful of everybody's time, and with our words, we're only gonna discuss what's pertinent to this application. feel free to say ditto if your point's already been made. Let's not make the same repetitive points so that we have enough time to get everybody's questions answered tonight, and that so Mr. Murphy's equipped if he has to go on in the future with what he needs to do in the future. So let's let everybody speak and be respectful. Let's not talk out of turn, and we'll get through this in a productive manner is the goal. So let me read these letters. Yeah, if you want to sit for a little while, we'll let you answer any questions that come up tonight, Mr. Murphy. Dear Planning and Zoning Commission members, as longtime Bay St. Louis homeowners since 1999, we write to oppose Murphy Land Holdings' application for a variance to the parking requirements of the city's zoning ordinance. We support progress and development in Bay St. Louis. Downtown development is a positive contribution to our city. Who could have imagined such a vibrant downtown after Katrina? Allowing such a large building with no provisions for parking amounts to offering private developers a public subsidy. As residents in the new building will park on the street, the public parking deck, the marina, and other public parking spaces that are provided for customers traveling to downtown to patronize our businesses. Murphy Land Holdings proposes building a parking lot on the corner of State Street and Nikkei, presumably on lot number 554A, owned by Mississippi Power, and where the utility once stored electrical power transformers and other equipment. We strenuously oppose allowing a parking lot in our residential neighborhood near our home. Such a development would lead to increased traffic, diminution of the value of our property, and an overall degradation of the quality of life in the neighborhood. Our zoning ordinance is reasonable. It allows for development that provides property owners opportunities for profit. Murphy Land Holdings' request to build a condominium with no provisions for parking is unreasonable and will negatively impact our downtown, its merchants, and the surrounding neighborhoods. Please reject this request. With regards, Louis, I can't say it, Kiriakoutis, kind of close, and Lisa Everly. Is there address on here? 333 Demotlison. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I have no issues with Murphy Land Holding LLC's right to build a condominium complex on the two C1 zone parcels as long as its plans meet the requirements of the city's building code department and zoning ordinances. However, because the 16-unit condo project is so overbuilt for the intended parcels of land, this project does not meet even the most basic requirements of the city's codes for parking spaces and height requirements. For some reasons that I don't understand, this P&Z application only addresses the variance for parking spaces, and variance is a loose term here. What is being asked for is a total exception from 36 parking spaces required to a 0 requirement. Besides no parking places on site, another issue is that arriving, departing owners or vacation rental guests also have nowhere to load, unload their luggage, groceries, etc. at the foot of Main Street and Beach Boulevard condo site. Very inconvenient. However, that will likely not stop people from parking anyway in the traffic lanes on Beach Boulevard or Main Street to load and unload, so it will be a reoccurring problem. Also, to propose an off-site parking space alternative located at Nikkei Avenue at State Street in the middle of an R2 zoned area 3 blocks away is not an acceptable solution in considering the Murphy variance request. State Street is one way only for the first 3 blocks because the street is only wide enough for 1 car to pass. Additional traffic will not be welcomed by those property owners. The most direct route to and from the proposed off-site parking will be to use Main Street, which is already heavily used. The off-site parking alternative proposed does not seem practical to me. According to the news story interview on WLOX, this proposed off-site parking property is intended to be leased by the Murphys. It is not owned by them. Regardless of ownership, a special exception will be required before this lot can be used as a parking lot for the condo project's off-site parking. It is highly unlikely that the surrounding residential property owners on Main Street, State Street, and Demotlison Avenue will support the special exception needed for the Murphys to situate an off-site parking lot for the condo project here. Surprisingly to me, this issue is not even being addressed in the application before you tonight. What is Plan B for parking spaces for the condos if the special exception is denied or if the lease never materializes or expires 5 years later? The city needs to stand its ground and enforce its regulations. I implore you to deny this application. Recommend that the Murphys go back to the drawing board and design a project that is in compliance with the city's building and zoning codes. The citizens and residents of Bay St. Louis should not have to suffer the traffic congestion nightmares that are sure to be created in 2 areas of Bay St. Louis if Murphy Land Holdings is granted this variance. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Kathleen Monty. Dear Planning and Zoning Commission members, we have been residents of Bay St. Louis since 1998 and homeowners since 2004. In that time, my husband and I have been active participants in this community. We have contributed in many ways to the appeal and success of this town and have been fortunate to benefit from the success and contributions of our neighbors, friends, and community members. I'm writing in opposition to the request for a variance by Murphy Land Holdings in regard to the proposal for off-site parking for a building that will not meet zoning requirements to begin with. I would like to think there is no need for a sensible citizen to even point this out, but I see the evidence of major acceptance for profit all around this once charming town that has been sold to the highest bidder at the sacrifice of our community spaces and sense of belonging, and I know opposition does need to be voiced. Like many others, we chose to move here, although employed in Long Beach, for the charm and laid-back atmosphere. I get it, others want that as well, but this request is not only undesirable for the residents of the block where the parking would be, but also every block and intersection between the lot and the building. The ability of residents in that area to function as they should in their own driveways and blocks will be negatively impacted with noise, traffic, and stretch carts and shuttles in a continuous loop. Consider how often you and your family drive to a grocery store, hardware store, dollar store, or appointment. As an Old Town resident with none of those options within a few blocks, which is fine with me, as I want humans for neighbors, not stores, I can say it is often. It's too much. It is too much to ask of the neighbors and community who have put up with losing our privacy and charm already. It has become very uncomfortable to live here lately. For the residents who actually live here, work here, raise children here, and live the parts of life that don't happen in a bar or a boat. Out of respect for the rest of us, and because the proposal is so far out of proportion with what current ordinances allow, please deny the request. Thank you. Catherine Dale Pohl, 112 Carroll Avenue. I was notified today, January 3rd, 2024, of intentions to build a parking lot on Lot 554A at the corner of State Street and East Avenue. I am offended and disappointed that any neighbor of the Bay St. Louis community would feel it appropriate to construct a parking lot in the middle of our residential neighborhood. Desecrating our family residential zone location with a parking lot would not only be an eyesore, but it would rob our city of the potential for another wonderful family to contribute to the community. A parking lot in Miss Homes would create not only a physical barrier, but also an emotional break between would-be next-door neighbors. So much of the unique charm of Bay St. Louis comes from the emotional connections, the mailbox chats, the cross-lawn greetings, and quick check-ins. Small-town America, with its charm and sense of safety, is about personal emotional connections. Placing a parking lot in a residential community would fracture those connections. In other less scrupulous communities, a transgression such as this could get overlooked, but we must be vigilant to preserve the culture that makes Bay St. Louis so special. Parking is important, but please let it be in appropriately zoned areas like one of the commercially zoned lots nearby. Thank you for your time and consideration. Rachel and Chuck Floyd Jones, 328 Demollison Avenue. I'm going to go through the list, but first, is there anyone in support of this variance that would like to speak? Can everybody in opposition raise their hands for us real quick? I just want to see who's here for this application. I'm going to go through the list. Feel free to say pass if you don't want to speak or if your point's already been said, but feel free to come up and say ditto or reiterate if it needs to be said. First on the list is John Ullman, 110 Demollison Avenue. And I know you sent us a letter to Mr. Ullman, but I didn't get to to read through them all.
Good evening, John Ullman, 110 Demontleson Avenue. I'll be brief. Surprise. I came here primarily to see that you were going to stick to the parking issue only as the variance is requested. And also to say that I read through the agenda packet, and as far as Mr. Burke's assessment, opinion, and recommendation, I agree with that 100%. If and when we get to a height variance, I'll come back and have some more to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman. Ed Prattis, 146 Cedar Point Road. Right. Okay. Tad Black, 211 7th Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me this opportunity to speak to the commission. I have a question. So we're talking about the heights variance is gonna come later after. So if it's happens to be voted down tonight, then there would be no sense of going for height. I wanna know how come it didn't hit the page here? You know, cause I mean, it's quite clear in the zoning ordinance book, which I have right here, that it has to be 50 foot. And let me explain something. I know I come up here sometimes and I say, you know, I'm a former two-term city councilman. I help to do a lot of site plan review ordinances. sign ordinances and to protect the quality of life in Bay St. Louis. But also was appointed to the advisory board in 2008 to do the new comprehensive plan. And as we were meeting in this room, Joe Lynn Trapani was on the commission also, and she brought up the fact that I think we need to allow 50-foot buildings on the downtown area in the central business district. And I didn't really like it, but at the time, we really didn't know what FEMA was gonna have, because actually on that side of the road, no mechanical, electrical, any type of devices can be built. So an elevator has to be 3 foot off the ground on that side of the property because it's a velocity zone. Joe Lynn Trapani brought that up to 50 foot. And that's about the same height as the Masonic Temple. So we used the Masonic Temple and the old theater at the time, and that's about 50 foot. So I said, okay, well, let's do that. I said, but Joe Lynn, you realize if somebody builds across from your restaurant, you're gonna lose your view, right? Everybody's talking about the view. Well, before Hurricane Camille, there was no view either, because they had wooden buildings all the way across. My step-grandfather owned a paint store there at one time, Trapani's Knock Knock, Maneri's Restaurant. I'm that damn old. So, but anyway, I was curious why the height thing didn't come up, because it plainly states you have to, except if the land is lower, the property is lower to the adjacent land, then they can build up to the same height. So I'm trying to explain what this 50 foot was put in for the downtown area is what I'm trying to do. Because it wasn't there before, the requirements was 35 feet. And as we sit here tonight, it is 35 feet for the rest of the city, except for the downtown, and I think highway commercial can go up to 50 foot. Now, let's talk about the fire department approving, right? Well, he only approves that if it's over 35 feet. It says nothing about anything else. In other words, if you're gonna go to over 35 feet, you need to talk to the chief to make sure we can handle the fire that may happen in your building. That's the whole point of it. I'm trying to say that was the intent of the advisory board when we increased the height level from 35 to 50 feet for the downtown district. Mr. LeBlanc built it, and I think you had to go a little higher because you had some air-conditioned ducts, mechanical or something. You had to go a little higher than that. Chet, you're at 50?
We didn't go any higher.
Yeah, right. And the Pearl, it's at 50. So if Mr. Murphy would have liked to do the 50-foot condo and then provide parking, we shouldn't even be here. So, but anyway, let's get back to the variance that's being in question tonight. As of 2 days ago, unless Mr. Murphy has purchased or has a lease agreement with the Mississippi Power, it's not gonna happen. I know people, talk to them, and they're not interested in selling or leasing the property. When I was a kid and was living on Main Street, right down the street, that was a substation to power to Montlezun and those types of areas. Well, they ended up doing bigger stuff so they could get away with it. Excuse me. You know, nobody's even thought about if I do this, you know, usually where power companies have big transformers, I did electrical work for a living for a long time. Most of the time those transformers leak oil in the transformer, then you got PCBs in the ground. Okay? So, and I'm sure that's one reason that Mississippi Power is not gonna let that property go, because it'll have to be that, have to go through the act to clean all that up. But as it stands right now, Mr. Murphy may correct me, but he has no lease agreement with the Mississippi Power or future sale. It's not there. It's not happening. They're not interested in selling or leasing because you put Mississippi Power at a liability situation. Somebody gets hurt in the parking lot, they're gonna sue the big guy, Mississippi Power. Not gonna happen. So I don't even know why we're here. If Mr. Murphy can produce a lease or a sale contract, that's one thing. But let's go back to where the hotel didn't have to build a 67-car garage. Now we have parking problems. Even if this is allowed to put 36 parking spots, but I don't think you can put that many if you go by the code next to Miss K. Kell, I don't think you can put that many. But let's just hypothetically say that we pass this. Do you really honestly think that the owners of that condo, or it'd probably be Airbnb'd every day? I mean, if I had the money, I'd buy one and Airbnb it out, but I don't. But do you really actually think that those people are not gonna park next to home? You think they're gonna go grocery shopping for their condo and they're gonna get on a golf cart and ride with their groceries back to their condo? if anybody thinks that really is gonna happen, I don't know what to tell you, because that's not gonna happen. Like the hotel people, they don't park in no parking garage, they park right out front with the free parking. Drive through there at 6 o'clock in the morning, I drive through there to watch the sunrise, and you'll count 10, 15 cars on Main Street. That's not people drunk left over from the night before, that's people staying in the hotel. So they're taking up free parking as that is, and now we're asking for, we're not gonna provide parking. We keep going this way, and people's not gonna go down there anymore. When people have to ride around in circles because they don't wanna pay for, what is it, $30 for 2 hours or something like, I've never paid for it and will not. But that's my point, I don't even know why we're here, because there's certain things, y'all get things from applicants that the application is not complete. So we have to do something tonight, and then come back later on and give them a height variance. Why don't we just do all this at one time? I don't understand that. But anyway, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Mr. Harry, no, we don't do that here. We would be here all night. Harry Bolton, 132 Leopold Street.
I'm a recent arrival in the town. I moved here last few months ago.
Welcome.
And I just wanted to point out that on Leopold Street, which is the narrow street, Amazon, everybody who delivers stops in front of my house and blocks the road. And I don't see them doing anything different down here on Main Street. I think it's dangerous not to have a place where your ambulance can pull in if someone's ill, where your police can pull in if they need them. I just think no parking is bad this, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Elfrin and Jennifer Acosta, 103, is it North Nicase Avenue?
All right, so, I just purchased this house on Nikkei. I just found out about this parking lot going in there. It's literally out my front door, open my door, and there's that parking. So I'm just worried, like that I just bought this house in August, and I'm worried about, maybe depreciation value to the house. I'm trying to remodel it, add on to it, and then I think that'll all just get tanked. And I'm worried about, if it's gonna be lit up, it's gonna keep my whole front yard lit up. I mean, I'm not gonna have that same nighttime ambiance everybody else has. I'm just gonna be under light. If it's gonna be low lit, is it gonna bring in prowlers in there, breaking into cars? I don't know what's gonna happen. So I worry about that. I got kids. So that's my biggest thing, right? I don't really like having a parking lot directly out front of my house. Sure, no one else is in front of their house either. So, that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Costa, appreciate it. Ms. Kathleen Monty, 105 Sycamore Street.
Good evening, I'm Kathleen Monty, and I reside at 105 Sycamore Street. And as much as I personally would not like to see a high-rise at the end of Main Street and Beach Boulevard, the fact is, it's allowed, it's legal, and they can do it, as long as they abide by the city's codes and zoning ordinance regulations. But that's not what's happening. And this right to build does not supersede the public safety and welfare concerns that are safeguarded today through our regulations already in place with the city's building codes and zoning ordinance. And as I understand section 1305.3 of the zoning ordinance pertaining to variances, you can recommend a variance only if all 11 conditions listed in this section exist. The applicant's variance request for 36 required parking places to 0 parking places should be denied because 4 of these 11 conditions do not exist. Specifically, I refer to these conditions of the ordinance. Condition C that says granting the variance requested will not confer upon the applicant any special privileges that are denied to other residents of the district in which the property is located. Condition D, the requested variance will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of this ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or to the general welfare. Condition E, The special circumstances are not the result of the actions of the applicant. And condition G, the variance requested is the minimum variance that will make possible the legal use of the land, building, or structure. To me, from my perspective, none of these 4 conditions of the 11 can be met. And so therefore, I am asking you to please deny this, but recommend to the Murphys that if they want to build a condo complex there, that they go back to the drawing board and please come back with a design that will meet all the city's building and zoning ordinance regulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Amber Lancaster, 101 Blakemore Street. Cliff Rabelais, 702 3rd Street.
Good evening, Cliff Rabelais, 702 3rd Street. I listened. The one thing that has been spoken, if we have a parking lot remote and people will commute on golf cart's gonna end up somewhere. And there's no parking for the golf cart. Most of y'all probably had figured that out, but I did want to bring it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Jan Carroll, 212 Carroll Avenue.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the commission. I wanted to point out, Mr. Murphy was interviewed by WLOX and said that if they make us put parking down there by some chance, you got 16 people here at one time, you'll have a traffic jam from here to Biloxi. Well, first of all, there are 16 units. We don't know what the occupancy of the
If they're 2-bedroom versus one.
right, or how many people that would be. But the fact of the matter is, we've been talking about parking. Let's talk about traffic. This is at the foot of Main Street on Beach Boulevard. The traffic that this will engender with people being shuttled back and forth, the deliveries that have to be made where there is no place to make the deliveries, no place to pull in. As a gentleman pointed out, there is a safety hazard if the ambulances and the fire trucks and the police can't get onto the property itself. I mean, in my former life, I was a lawyer for 32 years, and in my litigation practice, I represented a lot of developers. And in no event did any of them have the chutzpah to come up and ask to dispense with the parking requirement, totally dispense not only with the occupant parking requirement, but also the guest parking requirement, because as you all know, that 36 parking spaces includes 4 for guests. And we're going to have people parking in other businesses, lots, in the public areas, as was pointed out, or in the residential areas. I live 2 blocks off of Beach Boulevard on Carroll Avenue. I can see people, parking on Demont Lausanne, on Main Street, on Carroll Avenue, rather than going all the way to Case and State, trying to get their shuttle at whatever hour of the day or night. Assuming somebody to be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which they would have to be, because that's what you would do if you had parking at this location. I think this is a profoundly bad idea, and the Murphys need to go back to the drawing board. If this is not an economic project for fewer than 16 units, then that's the way the economy works. But something has to be done to make sure that there is sufficient parking and guest parking so that the rest of downtown is not disadvantaged by this one development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jan. Liz Wagner, 106 Hickory Lane. I may have said the last name.
Liz Wagner, 106 Hickory Lane. I just want to say we already have a parking problem in Bay St. Louis. I have friends who say, I don't go any further into town than North Second Street. And if you want to kill development, you just keep on creating things that create more parking. And I would like to really nix the idea of using the Garage Mahal parking lot, where the old jail was, because I had my 80th birthday party up there, and there was plenty of parking for all the people who came to the party. And so if condo people are parking there, then when people pay that big fee to the city to have a party, their guests are gonna have no place to park. So, keep a hold on parking. It's already bad. We don't need anything else that's gonna add to it, however you resolve it.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ms. Wagner. Connie Voight, 253 Cary Court.
Connie Boyd. So I'm going to read some of this and try to skip over some of it. In a Shoofly article from May 2021, Mayor Mike Favre confirmed that the city's parking situation has become serious. That's a quote. He acknowledges that streets have become congested and insufficient parking spaces, trucks blocking roadways, and pedestrian traffic. Mayor Favre outlined the following actions to be implemented: redesigning and striping streets and parking spaces, designating loading and unloading zones, creating new signage with loading and parking guidelines, increasing enforcement of loading and parking restrictions. I tell you this to demonstrate the long-standing governmental concern for the ever-increasing parking issues in Bay St. Louis, specifically downtown. Yet, since mid-2021, we have seen parking variances granted for a number of businesses or condo developments in the downtown area. Now, a full 32 months after acknowledging parking was a serious problem, we are still entertaining parking variances. This time, the city is being asked to ignore all parking requirements and allow the developer to build a large downtown condominium building that will provide no on-site parking for its residents in our already congested downtown. If condo and/or apartment buildings are to be built with no resident parking, where can they assume they'll park? I can practically guarantee you that they won't be toting their groceries through neighborhoods after parking in a lot over half a mile away, and it is 0.6 miles. We actually drove it. In reality, these proposed residents will park as close as they can to their condos, wouldn't you? If that happens, we lose at least 36 parking spaces downtown. We'll likely never see a spot in front of 200 North Beach, the Blind Tiger, the bank, etc. When residents of Court Street condos begin utilizing the garage because they don't have enough parking for their potential residents, we'll lose even more parking spaces. Residents and visitors alike will be forced to park blocks away to frequent their favorite shops and restaurants. In a small city that hosts well over 250,000 visitors a year, and yes, I calculated that from sources, a decreasing our parking availability could have significant impact on our tax revenue. How long before that negatively affects our small businesses? It won't be long before consumers cease to patronize our downtown because they can't find a place to park. Simply building this 8-story condominium will wreak havoc on downtown. Where will construction workers' vehicles park? These vehicles will surely impede traffic around Beach and Main. But have we considered what this may do to emergency vehicles during construction and after? Where would an ambulance, fire truck, delivery truck, or service vehicle park if they needed access to the building? Would there be access to the back of the building in case of emergency? We don't have to ponder long to know that any of these scenarios would cause enormous and potentially dangerous traffic issues. Bay St. Louis has recognized and promised to do something to abate our parking issues. In the interest of residents and safety, I plead with you to put down the proverbial foot and say no to this request.
Thank you. Wendy Sullivan, 302 St. Francis Street.
Thank you. When I started working, when I got out of high school, I first went in the Army, and I learned the importance of really assessing situations, looking at logistics, looking at infrastructure. And one of the things that as I heard about this, I actually contacted one of our city councilmen to find out about the comprehensive needs assessment that's being done. We are in the midst of getting a good plan about what we need that will look at infrastructure, transportation, parking, housing, zoning, you know, the whole thing. And it's probably going to be done this year, right? So given that all this work and money is going into a plan, I guess I wonder why we're even considering a variance for parking in an area that's going to be addressed with this. And so as this proposal is put forward at this time, I would suggest saying no, and if it fits into the plan, come on back. But in the meanwhile, we're going to have a good plan for our city to look at. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Anita Warner.
I say ditto to everything that people have spoken so far. As a member of the advisory council to the new plan, We already know that we have 500 VRBOs in this city. 500. Think about that, folks. We've only got less than 10,000 people, and we've got 500 VRBOs. And who's not to say that this next 16, if they build, wouldn't be the same thing? He admitted it himself. So that's one thing for sure. The other thing is, have you considered the fact that if they build this, now Dan B's no longer has parking? We've already talked about the fact this is a T intersection. Just try and drive down down Beach Boulevard any day of the week, and I promise you, you will be stopped. You'll be stopped by delivery trucks, FedEx, Postman, and if the train is in there, then you've really got a problem. Just say no.
Thank you, Ms. Warner. Steve Mims, 246 Cary Court. Okay. I'm gonna let Mr. Murphy come back up here and answer questions. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? And then I'll let the commissioners, any comments or questions from Mr. Murphy. Do you want to address some of the things?
All right, thank you. First off, I want to address the person who's been here since 1998. My family's been here since the early 1800s. I got a great uncle that served in the Confederate Army as a major, buried in Peterborough Cemetery. So wherever you came from, you know, good on you. We're a homeboy, and it seems like every time anybody that's from Bay St. Louis tries to do something in this community, they get bombarded. If you're out from out of town, you got plenty of money, and you come here, they'll have a wine and cheese, they'll have parades for you, they go out of their way to get stuff built. This is crazy. Mr. Black, I've been on Tad all my apparently he's got connections at the power company. I have a lease agreement from the power company that's not executed pending the outcome of this hearing. I can produce it. Matter of fact, I think I gave the city a copy of it. Somebody's got a copy of it, but I got all the copies you need, so I don't know where he got his information, but he's wrong about it. We talking about 16 units. What if we put another type of business up there? You don't think there's gonna be more than 16 cars up there? I mean, every time we go to work in the morning, we got vehicles from the borough parked in front of our place every Saturday and Sunday morning. And I watch them leave Sunday afternoon. They come right out of the borough and they park it on the street. Do we say anything? No, because they spend the money. Tax them. How much money do you taxes you think these 16 condos will bring to pay? We pay over $22,000 beyond that property. How many of y'all pay that for your house? Anybody in there pay $22,000 a year in taxes, and they keep going up? We're gonna stay to fight. I mean, we're trying to get along. We're trying to do something with our property. If y'all got a better use for our property and you think it's not gonna require transportation, by all means, bring it to us. We'd be glad to sit down and talk. Sell it. Anybody in here wanna buy it?
All right, let's not get into all that.
I'll gladly sell it if you got the money to get it. You can.
I'm not a real estate agent. We're not doing that right now.
We came here, and we're gonna go before the city council. We're looking for solutions, not problems. We're trying to get y'all to be a part of the solution and the problem.
And I agree with that, Mr.
Something's
Murphy.
gonna be built on that property, whether it's us or somebody else. And you're gonna be coming back and back. I mean, yeah, we got a parking problem. That's why we're trying to give you an out and do off-site parking. You won't have that problem. Where we park is irrelevant at this point. We have other spots. If you buy a condo up there and you agree that if you gotta walk from the Winn-Dixie parking lot to get there, that should be between the property owner and the purchaser and the property owner. What difference does it make to the city where they parking or how far they gotta go to get there?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I agree with,
ridiculous.
we're working towards solutions here, and I just think as it stands, you know, the off-site parking is just not realistic. It's not practical. And I
All right,
don't
well,
think, and people even.
Let me throw this out there, because I gave the mayor a study from around the country, from San Francisco to Chicago to Charlotte to Atlanta, all over the United States. And the studies out there. Just about every major city in the United States is doing away with minimum parking in all of their areas because it creates traffic. Get the study. They were supposed to give y'all a copy of it before you even came, for what it's worth.
Well, there were people here tonight that weren't even opposed to condominiums, and I'm not opposed to condominiums either. It's allowed, it's legal, but there needs to be on-site parking.
Why?
I think there's a short of it, because there's just huge
If-
parking
If
situation.
I buy a piece of property
problem
from you
in
and
Bay
you
St.
tell me the condition is you're gonna have to park a half mile down the street, and I agree to it, what difference does it make to you or everybody else in here where they park their vehicle?
Because they can't access downtown. So it's just
gonna
not,
be in
we're,
front of your house.
we're trying not to exasperate a current problem.
I
So
get it.
you can do condominiums, but do condominiums that fit the parking requirements? And there has to be parking on site. Aside for, there were a lot of good points made. It is also a safety issue, a huge liability in my opinion too. There needs to be some kind of on-site parking for if there's condos. And I mean,
I don't buy that
obviously-
argument. Why does it have, what's the safety issue? It's more of a safety issue having on-site parking, because then you really couldn't get anybody in there if you had.
Cause you can't get an ambulance
can't
and
get anybody
off
up
the
there
street
now. We
or
all
police
agree
cars,
on
and
that.
I think that was brought up as well. And the delivery trucks are a problem too that we need to address. So
I thought that was a good problem for the Bay. Everybody's taking advantage of the 500 something VRBOs, and I guarantee if you had one, you'd be renting it out. It's the market. I mean, it's the free market system. What are you gonna do with your property? Just about everybody's property that says they live in Old Town, which is not Old Town. Old Town's everything south of the tracks. I got news for you. If you had an old house that was worth $3,200 or $32,000 5 years ago, now you can get $400,000 or $500,000 for. You're not gonna sell it? Yeah, you're gonna sell it. Anybody in their right mind would do it. But who's coming here? The people that's got the money to keep this place moving forward. That's why everybody's coming here. It's bringing tax dollars and thousands over.
any other comments or questions from the commissioners?
You know, and we got people in here that own condos up on the beach and on Demolition Street, and they're up here opposing the same thing. I mean, you know, it's a bunch of, it's
I don't think
hypocritical.
they're opposing the condominiums. I think I heard it said twice that they weren't against condos. They were just against.
Well, we do have a parking issue, and you can go to some of these little small, like Timber Lane or whatever, in Cedar Point, where they got some of these VRBOs. They bring in 15 people in one house, and they got 4 or 5 cars, in one little spot. You know, the city's not addressing that issue at all.
But you're making the point against it, though, Mr. Murphy.
We got a
Your
parking problem.
VRBOs are gonna bring 15.
They're gonna bring cars. That's why we gotta have a park, but we're trying to give you an out on,
We're trying not
parking
to
on site.
exasperate an existing
Exactly.
problem.
But my point is, if we have off-site parking, and if it's a mile down the road somewhere, if it's at the Zapato parking lot, what difference does it make? That's an option. You're not gonna have parking downtown. It's not gonna be any.
It's not practical. No one's gonna do it. You just said the Pearl's parking in front of your place.
I'm saying, if you enter into that agreement with me, and that's the deal, what difference does it make?
You can't.
Any other comments or questions from the commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny the application.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Osborne, second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Please be present at the next, what did I say about the club? Tuesday, January 16th, 5:30 PM. We still have some more agenda items for you guys. And if y'all want to continue your conversations, feel free to do so outside, because we do have some more agenda items.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
Yeah, hold on a second. I saw you at the post office this morning, didn't I? I was trying to figure out where I saw you earlier today. The post office? Like, I saw you somewhere earlier today. I was like, maybe it's the post office. That's what I'm saying.
What's happening?
Thank y'all for coming
Good
out.
to see you. How you feeling?
Then if somebody comes to visit, they go to here.
Hey, let's clear out, you guys. Please.
Guys,
Can
once
we get
everybody
everybody
clears
clear
out,
out,
we're gonna
please?
continue with the meeting. So if y'all want to go, bring it to the parking lot.
Thanks for
It'd be
coming
much
out.
appreciated.
Unless you want to stay for the final.
I hear you.
We got to do our minutes and stuff. That's it. No, we're done. Thank you.
I live two blocks away.
Well, I used to own the building on the beach next door to in Chicago. And I, so now
Well,
I'm on Main.
he's got to go to the council. No, we're recommending board. That's all we are.
I told my wife she's going to see the kids play, grandkids play ball.
Well, no, they're at the hotel.
She said, I probably won't be home that
Yeah,
time.
I'm not trying to get into that, because then it just gets contentious at that point. You know,
I'll go down and I'll
yeah. Thanks for coming out. Hey.
You must have turned this. I'll be trying to tell everybody
Forget
to
about
please
what
clear.
everyone else is gonna say.
Good to see you, kid. I will.
Well, that's the end of it anyway. All we gotta do is
Jeremy.
close the meeting and.
go back to the appointment. I
And
skipped
adjourn.
that because I figured they didn't want to.
All right, go ahead and hit your gavel. Yep.
Caitlin, come here a minute. Need to see you here.
Wanted me to tell you hi.
You want to come here?
My dog.
I want to show you. We were looking for a pin, and he opened the drawer like this.
He's a good guy.
I didn't know where we were going.
Hey, Calvin, go
I
both
was
the
like,
same
who-
way.
Okay. All right, let's get to,
Yeah.
the next agenda item. We're gonna
No.
go back to,
Or
1A,
motion pictures only.
appointment of the chairman of the board, and it should also read for a co-chairman as well, correct?
We only have a chairman, but if you want to appoint a co-chairman, that's fine.
Okay, well, we can just do whatever, chairman.
To the chairman.
I thought we had appointed you
They
co-chairman
did, but they
last
don't
year.
like me doing it, so.
Okay, well,
I missed November, I'm sorry. Hunt season.
they already warned me, so I'll entertain a motion for appointment of a chairman of the board.
I make a motion that we leave Miss Amy Dosher as our
I'll second.
positive.
Okay.
Second, I'm positive.
Motion by Mr. Breland, second by Mr. Weber. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Next, thank you.
Thank you.
Is it a
Excellent.
congratulatory
She
thing?
does an excellent job.
Last time.
She's a great speaker.
All
and
right.
We need to leave her right there where she's
Second
at.
and final thing, approval of the minutes. Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Osborne. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Weber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Last agenda item is a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. LeBlanc. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Breland. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye.